Okay, welcome. It's July 24th. It's 4:04 p.m. We'll go ahead and get this meeting started. I'll do a roll call of Planning Commission members present. Howard Tritz,
Here.
Abby Dahlman, Joey Edwards,
Here.
Lupe Bobadilla, Jamie Seifer, and Heather Lind is here. County Commissioners, Commissioner Mutch,
Here.
Commissioner Marcella, and Commissioner Fiedler.
Here.
Commissioner Marcella intended to join on
Okay. Howard, just heads up, there's just 3 of us right now, so if Abby does join, that will give us a quorum, but otherwise we don't. We'll need all 3 of us for the meeting for the quorum. Any changes or additions to the agenda?
We have a request. Do you want to changes to the agenda? Or would you like to wait until you, I guess we could actually do that update when you open the file.
When we get to that file, okay. We have minutes to approve from July 10th. Can I get a motion to approve those?
I'll make the motion to approve the July 10th.
Edward seconds.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
And any updates from staff?
I think one exciting update that we have is that we were able to have a meeting with community builders. And they are very excited about the possibility of potential engagement into doing some long-range planning on a growth plan and some preparation for a new comp plan in 2025. So they are supposed to be sending us some more information. They also provided, they're going to provide, I think, some best practices on short-term rental around the state. But they also have provided us with 2 other consultants that one we're meeting with this week and one we're meeting with next week, just to broaden the scope of work on the short-term rental moratorium. But excited to see that they showed a high degree of interest in engagement on that future work that we've been talking about, with a focus on land use, housing, economic development, and conservation. So excited about that. Looks like it may be coming to fruition.
Cool.
Abby's joining.
Thank you. There she is. And Abby joined at 4:06.
Okay, awesome. We'll just move right in. I know we got a couple of big files on here today, so we'll move into new business. We have file 23-09 and file 23-28, the Sagestone Ranch Group Camp CUP and site plan review. We'll start with the CUP, and I'll go ahead and read an opening statement for the conditional use permit. The Lake County Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners will now conduct a joint public hearing. This statement I am reading shall be incorporated into and made part of the record on these proceedings. The Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners have jurisdiction to conduct a joint public hearing on a conditional use permit application under section 3.6.1 of the Lake County Land Development Code. And simultaneously, the Planning Commission will open the site plan review pursuant to section 3.13. The purpose of this hearing is to consider whether the conditional use permit application and site plan review should be approved. In considering that matter, the Commission will address the approval criteria set forth in sections 3.6.1F and 3.13.3 of the Lake County Land Development Code. The procedure to be followed in this hearing will be: number 1, members of the Commission and/or the Board will disclose any ex parte communications. 2, the county staff will make an initial presentation. 3, the applicant may then make their presentation. 4, after that, any other persons either supporting or opposing the application may present their evidence. Such presentations can be limited to time if we are in a time constraint. 5, supporting and opposing witnesses may be questioned by the Commission and the Board. Once questioning is concluded, no further questioning is permitted unless granted by the Chair. 6, the applicant may then present any rebuttal evidence. The parties and witnesses are asked to not submit redundant, irrelevant, or cumulative evidence. If someone has already made the point that you wish to make, please just simply say so. The chair will also require that all comments be made to the planning commission and the board, and that there be no dialogue between applicant and members of the audience. At the conclusion of the evidentiary portion of the hearing, the chair will entertain a motion to close the evidentiary portion of the hearing, and the commission will discuss and weigh the evidence. Then there will be a motion to close the discussion phase of the joint public hearing. The Board of County Commissioners will then leave the meeting, and the chair of the Planning Commission will entertain a motion on the application. The motion may take the form of one of the following recommendations. 1, approve the application with no conditions. 2, approve the application with the recommended conditions. 3, approve the application with newly identified conditions. Or 4, deny the application. The planning director shall make record of any substantial discussion on the motion and include that in record with the recommendation of the commission. The commission's recommendation will be in the form of a statement of motion. Are there any objections to the jurisdiction of the commission or to the form or substance of these proceedings? Okay, hearing none, I will now ask each planning commission member and then each county commissioner if you've had any ex parte communications to disclose, and if so, to please disclose them now. Howard Tritz.
I have none.
Abby Dahlman. Okay, and Joey Edwards.
None.
Heather Lind, none. Commissioner Mudge.
I have none.
Okay, Commissioner Marcella, is she on? Okay, and Commissioner Fiedler.
None.
Okay. The staff may make the initial presentation.
Thank you so much. So this is a conditional use permit for a group camp vacation lodge, being referred to as the Sagestone Ranch. And we're just going to provide some kind of situational awareness here of exactly where we're talking about. The parcel is right here south of Highway 82, just past the junction of 24 and 82. The property owner does own both of these parcels, as evidenced. First, let's look at the zoning. Zoning does have dual zoning. The purple being business and the salmon color being recreational. And if you could, I don't know how well you can see the underlying layer, but the house is within the, or the site is within recreational.
I was just gonna say, if you guys need to, we can't shut the door all the way, but if you need to close it enough to be able to see, you're welcome to do that.
I'm good.
Okay.
And so just important because group camp is a conditional use in recreational, however, it is not in the business. So it was very important to cite the property and confirm that it is within an allowable zone district. Next is the site plan. The site plan does a good job of showing and demonstrating the addition that's being proposed to this existing house. The existing structure is right here. Of course, the access is coming off Curriton. This is a man-made pond. The property owner does have junior water rights, so at different times seasonally there is some water in the pond. It does demonstrate 12 parking places. Obviously, there's ample parking, there's good accessibility. It meets all of the requirements for parking, and it just kind of gives an idea. There's also something we're going to talk about in the staff report. There's a slight encroachment. It's historic. The property line is right here. And this barn does encroach and come over the property line. There's several different remedies that could be done, and we talk about that as a condition of approval, including an administrative lot line adjustment that would take this nonconformity into compliance. So there's several different options, and speaking with the applicant, they said maybe modifying the structure of it and removing a portion of it. So there are several different scenarios that and not really that big a lift in working with that encroachment. The setbacks, it may be a little bit difficult to see, but group camps must maintain a 50-foot setback from the edge of the property line, and they are in excess of that with their addition. So they were mindful of, although this is also their property, they are meeting the required setback, and that is the area that would be closest Obviously, everything else is in much greater excess of that 50 feet. Overall, the property meets, one of the finding for the site plan is that it substantially meets all of the requirements of site plan review. And I'll go into detail a little bit more about that in the staff report, but just wanted to kind of get everyone to have kind of an idea of the layout of the property. They are going to propose minimal landscaping. This is a very open, rocky landscape with very little vegetation, some sagebrush, as most of you are very aware. And then this is the survey of the property, just so that you have a better idea of the boundary between parcel 1 and parcel 2. And both of these are historic legal parcels because they were subdivided before 1972. And then these are just some good photos of the property to orientate yourself with the actual structure on site. You can see the historic home, and the applicant let me come on site today and take these photos. But I think it really demonstrates kind of, this is the whole area where they're expanding the foundation and where the addition's going to be on the single family home. This is looking northwest. Again, the house is right here, and these outbuildings right at their access point, and then looking more to the northwest of it from the property. But you will see, I think that these just really demonstrate how the size of the parcel really mitigates any potential impact of commercial activity in this area. And I would also suggest that given the dual zoning, we've got the Windmar cabins in this area, we've got the self-storage in this area, we've got Balltown Mini Motors. So there is a real mix within this area of single-family residential homes, ag use, and then the business use. And this proposal would suggest to look at bringing all 3 of those types of use into the proposal before us today. Witnessed in the staff report, you will see that staff suggests that the applicant has addressed to the satisfaction of the code all of the use-specific standards. Their density is far less than what would be allowed under the code. The code could contemplate a density of up to 165 people. And so they're coming in less than 15% of that, with a total of 22 maximum occupancy, considering their participants as well as owners and staff on the property. Could be argued that that kind of density would be similar to a large family who would have weekend gatherings. So I think first notably is that the density is not excessive and far under the standard for the zone district. No excessive noise. Noise is of concern, but through the operational plan, there doesn't seem to be any call for concern between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. Traffic, I think, is, we did refer this application to the division or the Colorado Department of Transportation. Because the property is accessed off Curriton Lane, there is no need at this point for an access permit to the property. But they did talk about the merit of the operational plan, whereby the property owner and the operation plan suggests shuttling. So guests will come in their individual cars, but then their excursions will be shuttled to and from the site to try to minimize impact on the road and adjacent property owners, as well as impact to the highway. So we are asking that, and in doing this, that we're opening up both the site plan review and the conditional use permit. The staff report addressed both. The orientation of the property, it will face south. And there are no homes or buildings within 200 feet of the property. All of the exterior materials are within the natural blending landscape. They're going to only add minimal additional landscaping, several young aspen trees to be planted. They do have some lighting around kind of that circular area by their parking, but they're going to make sure that that isn't overly illuminated. They agree to make sure that anything outside is dark sky compliant. And, oh, let me actually show you in the next slide real quick. I think these are beneficial as well. These are the different elevations. So you'll be able to see kind of the existing home, and then the changes to what this is, the eventual remodel will look like. There were no additional, other than the same conditions that are noted for the conditional use permit for the site plan. The application was duly noticed to the Leadville Lake County Fire Rescue, the Lake County Office of Emergency Management, Lake County Public Works, Colorado Division of Parks and Wildlife, the U.S. Forest Service, the Colorado Division of Water Resources, Lake County Public and Environmental Health, Lake County Sheriff, Community Development Team, the Lake County Soils Conservation District, and Colorado Department of Transportation. In so doing, we did get a response from Fire Marshal Boyle that he will need to speak with the property owner and look at a fire suppression and alarm system. It will be witnessed in a condition, a suggested condition. The Director of Emergency Management had no concerns about the application other than suggesting helping with situational awareness of the guests and providing them information about fire danger. And she has since provided a QR code that I can give to the applicant so that they can provide this to the guests so that they can check for any fire bans that might be in effect at the time that they're visiting the property. We provided a standard recommendation from Parks and Wildlife on minimizing conflicts with black bears and other species, and just about fire receptacles and trash containers. They are going to be renting a dumpster from their neighbor. And so they've already looked to make sure that they've secured adequate trash receptacles. They have engineered an extremely large septic system to address the new needs of the property and replaced one that was no longer functioning properly. That septic system is finished, and they've already gone through the whole permitting and inspection process. So I think that just leads us to conditions of approval. So the following are the conditions of approval that staff is suggesting, and then we would be happy to answer any questions that you may have, and then introduce the applicant to share anything that they would like to provide in respect to the application. So our conditions that we're suggesting are, as submitted, the maximum overnight occupancy shall not exceed 22 people. That trash shall be kept in a bear-proof container and routinely removed from the property. 3, all signage is required to obtain a sign permit prior to the placement on the property. 4, prior to operations, the property owner shall acquire an approved water supply through the Colorado Division of Water Resources and provide verification to CPD. Number 5, the applicant shall apply for a change in occupancy with the building department to address the inclusion of commercial occupants. Number 6, the applicant shall provide CPD compliance with all fire marshal requirements prior to the start of operations. The fire marshal may allow occupancy for a limited amount of time while requirements are achieved. Number 7, all exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant. Number 8, the property owner shall include information about fire danger and a QR code posted somewhere accessible for occupants to check for fire ban status. Number 9, the property owner shall address the barn encroachment, CPD. And 10, any new driveway access shall be approved and permitted through Public Works. And then all statements and representations made by the applicant through this application and today in hearing shall be binding and considered as conditions of approval. And just to expand upon the water, so currently they do have a domestic well permit on the property, but they are currently looking at their water options. They have hired a water attorney, and they do own watershed, Twin Lakes water shares. So weather is coming, and through being able to a change of use in their domestic well, having to go through the augmentation process, or potentially being a customer under the Lake County enterprise. One of those will have to come to fruition prior to the commercial occupancy. The change in occupancy, so their plan review for their building permit that's been issued right now is for a residential occupancy under the IRC code. And we'll just need to make sure that if there are any modifications or amendments that need to be done in order to address the IBC, that's being looked at as they're in the remodel process. And then in speaking with the fire marshal, he did indicate that if they were able to complete the build but had not finalized the fire suppression system and the alarm, he would allow occupancy under an occupancy agreement with the property owner while the full requirement could be achieved. Now with the Southern Fire Station, we do have responsive service closer than we have previously. And I think those are probably the only conditions that we haven't covered within the presentation. So I think I will open it up for questions from the Planning Commission and the Board of Staff.
Any questions before applicant makes their presentation? The board?
I'm happy to send this presentation to you all. I know you didn't have it ahead of time, or go back to any of the slides if you'd like to take a look at any of those.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I think you addressed it a little bit with some of those last comments. I'm wondering, having, been through a number of these for some time now, in your staff report, you mentioned that the code allows for, I calculated, but I don't think I added that additional parcel. So in just the one parcel at 35.5 acres-ish, I think it was like 167 people or something. And I'm wondering if, or I would offer that to limit like a business operations with naming the amount of people. I would be open to broadening that, and because I mean, who knows what might make things pencil out for a business, if it would be more, and or, you say 22 people, is that 22 guests or 22 people total to operate? And I think that could vary wildly, so I'd be open to either removing that and just allowing code to speak, or you said the 100 people would trigger the different use of a resort rather than a group camp. So I mean, if you want to or would want to put a number in there, I would offer 100 because that triggers the next use. So that's, I guess, a comment and or asking if there's any response to that. Or maybe we can wait until the applicant might present and perhaps address that. And then, yeah, the commercial, I know going from domestic to a commercial use, you definitely need to then augment for that commercial use, not knowing what those, I don't know what those figures are, but yeah, just offering, hopefully it's quite possible that once the augmentation plan gets operational, if that should be needed above and beyond your water, the applicant's water right allotment currently, that is potentially a resource. And then I think your expansion on the fire suppression was helpful, but I'm not certain if I quite understand yet if that's, they pulled a permit under a domestic or a residential, and so it seems that it could possibly look a lot different if it's commercial, and I'm wondering if fire suppression mentioned by Chief Boyle is part of the building expansion or something like a holding tank on the property for fire suppression. So I'm just wondering if there was that specification by
Sure.
Boyle?
So they do have a 500-gallon cistern in their mechanical room in their plans. However, Chief Boyle doesn't believe under the IFC that would be sufficient for an 8,000 square foot structure. So it's really that the size of the final construction and the type of occupancy that will trigger the requirement for the fire suppression. But he is willing to work with the property owners and look at a plan, to make sure that occupancy in the front end is available, and then a plan moving forward. And he had said, maybe it's a combination of things, maybe a greater sized cistern and water supply, maybe a combination of both. He hasn't had the ability really to kind of dive into what could be arranged. So we've left it kind of open-ended once that he's been able to have a conversation with the applicant.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just offer, I think, at least by the aerial view and not having actually been out there more recently, it seems like there's defensible space and not a lot of other factors that would cause us a lot of concern, but
Sure.
but that's like a different kind of fire issue than having a packed establishment.
Right, there's good
So-
accessibility and not a lot of tree cover,
Yeah,
not a lot of fuels noted in the area. So, but he just hasn't had adequate time to discuss this with the applicant. And so if he, in administering the IFC, determines that maybe through a variation of methods, they're able to arrive at the intent of the code, maybe that will, but we certainly can let him know that the board supports him looking at all the possibilities.
And just for clarification for everybody else in the room, I think those kind of issues all get handled under the building permit side of it,
Yes.
not this conditional use permit side of it, just so everybody understands. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Applicant, if you want to introduce the applicant, and we can get a presentation, yeah.
So I'd like to introduce Addie Bracy and Patsy Bracy. They are joint applicants, mother and daughter, on the property. So I'm going to turn it over to you ladies.
Yeah, we're happy to answer any specific questions, but I guess the pieces I would add is that we're eager to be like part of the community. We've been coming here, spending a significant amount of time in Leadville since 2018. And we kind of tried to pursue this in the past, and it didn't work out, which in retrospect, I think was actually good. I think this is a better property, better timing. And we're really excited about it. And I think just to speak to how much we want to be part of the community and contribute. As you all know, it's a special place. That's why we work hard to protect it. And I haven't been a resident here, but I feel similarly, and even just as an avid consumer of the outdoors, feel similarly about public spaces and outdoor land. And maybe some of the things that weren't touched on in this presentation is just our contribution and commitment to educating and having like mandatory orientation with all guests just about trail etiquette and safety, and having that be a huge component. Just knowing that, the different race series have kind of put this place on the map anyway, and people are out there, training and using the trails and kind of camping anyway. And I think we're really hoping that this could be a way that, could benefit the county. We want to partner with a lot of existing rental services and guides and people that are already here, and hope to, again, not be any kind of threat, but contribute in any way that we can and be good neighbors. So yeah, we're an eager family team, and we wanted to do something like this for decades. It just never really came to fruition or materialized as what it would be. And yeah, we're very excited to be here and hope that it'll kind of give us a chance.
Well, I can say as a mother, this has been Addie's dream for, since she was in middle school, to help others. And she does coach a lot of people and has written a book, and she's very, it's her heart, it's her soul. It's not just a job. She wants to help people. She loves that, and she will be great doing it. And she's very mindful of the community, very mindful of the outdoors, and I'm sure she already talked about some of the people she'll be bringing will be helping upkeep the trails. Addie has just completed the wilderness training course, first responder.
I actually got trained, yeah, in
And she
Desert
did that in that. So she would be a huge asset to this outdoor community. And so I hope you give her the chance. My part of this has been construction. I'm a contractor and designer. And I developed the plans and then to an architect for structural. So my heart and soul's in it too. So we have carefully thought out every aspect of it. I hope that we can cover. I think that Ann covered everything that, about the building process. The exterior is all, I don't know if you have to say fireproof, but pretty much fireproof. It's cement board, hardy cement board, metal. There's no wood on the exterior at all. It is very environmentally friendly. It's radiant heating and floor, so we will conserve our energy. We will do whatever we can to make it not intrusive on the environment. As far as the landscaping, it will just be what it is now. We will not remove any sage time. We will be using sagebrush. We will not be, we'll be using a lot of rock, boulder, dirt, pretty much the way it is. The view is there. You don't need anything else. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. And then I would like to introduce, maybe, are there any questions anyone has for me or Adam?
We can get this point.
Okay. I'd like to introduce Dan DeVilla right here. I consulted in preparation for this. I think we started just last October. I wanted to be prepared and know what I needed to do for water. I fairly kind of knew that probably was going to be an issue. So he has done a water plan for us. And so they did a study about, how much water we would consume and what the best plan. So I would like to give him a chance, and if anybody has any questions for him on water.
Thank you. Dan Nimula, I live down in Salida, as of just this year, previously in BV, but before that in the Front Range. I work with BV Water Consultants, the engineering firm that does water rights planning out of Denver. Patsy reached out to us last year. It may have actually been right around this time. And we just looked at, what are the water supply alternatives. Water in Colorado, super nuanced. It's what we do. We eat and breathe it. So there's an existing well on the property, drilled in 76, 110 foot total depth, 15 gallon a minute yield. It's in sands and gravel. It's a productive well, totally adequate for the domestic demands or the commercial demands. Insofar as legal water supply, the exemptions by statute are nuanced and varied. And the way that the division Division of Water Resources has viewed those exemptions has varied over time. In the current environment today, the team leader of Division 2, Melissa Vanderpool, thinks that a commercial use permit could be issued. It would be limited to 1/3 of an acre foot per year, so that would be about 100-day uses per year, which is plenty for initial planning, but may not be enough for a really, the ultimate plan for the camp. So that's option one that we've looked at. And again, it's an administrative approval, so we haven't kind of put all our eggs in that basket. The other option that we think is really exciting is to work with Lake County with their umbrella augmentation plan and bring the Twin Lakes water needed to go and back up the uses under that plan. I've worked with your water attorney, Chris Geiger, on other projects. We reached out to Chris and just presented the initial engineering and kind of framework for how we could work under that aug plan. It's not necessary for the project. We think it's a great opportunity for the county to start test driving a really great asset that'll hopefully help to meet a lot of the county's visions. And then if that doesn't work out, we can do our own independent augmentation plan. It's pretty routine at this location. We're downstream of Twin Lakes. We have Twin Lakes water. Takes a handful of years, but easy enough to get done. And in the interim, after you file a water court application, you're able to operate under what's called a substitute water supply plan. So from Betsy saying go, we can have a well permit in hand within, 3 to 6 months. So we've got 3 different alternatives, all of them are workable. So that's kind of the water answer.
Great, thank you. Any questions on that? Okay. Do you guys have anything else you wanna, at this point? Okay. Can we pop up the photos again, just to keep in line with our commissioner? I'm, sorry, I just mean the people on Zoom, so that I can see if anybody's got it.
I'm so sorry.
Abby and Howard, did you guys have any questions for the applicant or staff on this application?
Howard does not.
Same here. Thanks, Heather.
Do we have any discussion before we close oh, sorry, no, we can't close public hearing. We have to take public comment. Do we have a sheet that's gone around for public comment? Okay. Do we have- And has everybody filled
Thank
this,
you.
signed in on this? It's public?
I wanted to, Chris has it. Or Eric, I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's just referred to me to say you.
Okay, we can do that.
And do we need to get the numbers on Zoom? Well, I guess just Jason. Do we know who
Yeah,
this is?
let's ask him. Yeah, if we can. Let me ask him. Jason, that's on the Zoom meeting, do you mind giving us your last name, just so we're making a record of everyone that attended this meeting?
My last name, if you can hear me, is McMullen.
Mullen. Great.
Thank you, Jason. Can you see the pen real quick so I can make it out, Jason McMullen on there?
Okay, well, we have, Peter Day is first.
Hi, Peter Day, 27 Daisy Drive. I have no objection to the proposal. I just have a couple of comments about it. I guess I disagree with Commissioner Mudge on putting a number, above what was applied for, the 22, because, that would change all sorts of things like water. If the applicant wanted to do that, it'd be good to, to have a conceptual plan on how they would accommodate, all those additional people. Would there be additional buildings? Would there be yurts? Would there be tent camping? Would there be structures that had, bathrooms and showers that were separate from, from this proposal? So I guess I would suggest just limiting the approval to the current proposal by the applicant, because if it was more than that, a number of things could change. I'm hoping, I read the application, it wasn't clear to me whether it said 8 additional bedrooms and bathrooms, but I didn't know whether that was 8 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms, or 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms, what that combination was. I don't think it matters to the total number. It was just a little unclear to me what the proposal was. And again, I don't have any objection. I guess I have a general observation, and maybe this goes to the 2025 revision of the comprehensive plan and code, is that I had a hard time classifying, this application within the definitions in the land use guide. It was proposed as a group camp, which is defined as tents, cabins, huts, or other informal structures. Doesn't seem like this is an informal structure. It's, in addition to an existing structure with, bathrooms and bedrooms. It's not like a tent mountain hut or a yurt or something like that. So, so I wonder, depending on the number of bedrooms to be added and bathrooms and all of that, whether, it might be classified as a hotel or motel or a rooming house or a bed and breakfast. Just wasn't clear, and maybe the next iteration of the code can better define what, this seems to be kind of a one-off, so this is maybe the best place to put it, but it didn't seem to, to fit the definition extremely well. So that's just my, my general comment about going towards the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I think those are great comments for code revisions, and I think we've already identified we need some use table, better look at some of our uses are dated, but I would just encourage that group camp and vacation lodge are on the same use category side by side, and so we do recognize that not all group camps are going to have rustic accommodations, and so that's kind of why those two are linked on that.
Vacation lodge, yeah.
Vacation lodge
It
is
wasn't
linked in
linked
there.
that way in the application, it was just group camp, so.
So, yeah, but very good point, but we do recognize that not all of them are gonna be primitive, and it has been the historic way in which we've done it based on density too, because I think we went to private resort up there, so in the code, it's group camp / vacation lodge. But very good observation, and I would say that our table
do have
needs a
some work
lot
on
of
there,
uses.
yes. I have Sam Critchlow.
I have no comment.
Okay, great. Misty, sure.
Hi,
Hi.
So, this gets personal for me. The house that's structured now was one that my grandfather built.
Would
And
someone mind just, you can't shut it all the way, but if you can just kind of shut it off, yeah, that'd be great.
so to get to know Patsy and Addie and the family over the last year or better, and watch something in the area where I've lived all my life, practically, be somebody else's dream, and know that years and years and years ago, my grandpa did something that's gonna help that happen. We welcome what they're doing with open arms. They could have bought that property and subdivided it and put in a bunch of houses, and so many other things could have happened. And what's happening now couldn't have been better planned. So we just want you to know what the Tenderfoot Farm, Kierton family, Fernial family, we're 100% behind this project.
Daniel, you already assume you don't have anything else. Okay. Addie and Patsy, and then we have Chris London. Okay. Eric Lane. And then Jason McMullen on Zoom. Do you have any comment?
I look forward to this, and I think they have a pretty good idea going, and I think they're going to appreciate the land. My only question would be is, where would everybody be jogging?
Well, applicant, if you want to address that question, you're welcome.
So I run from the property, but we're not gonna be taking people doing that. We'll like inside shuttle offsite in a van, and obviously get necessary permitting to do that when that time comes, but we're not gonna have people running from the property. We definitely wanna be good neighbors and respect that, so as long as they don't mind if I'm running up and down Kierton Lane, everybody else will be.
Yeah, you have to do your training for that. Okay, great. Any other questions, Jason?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Pete, you have
I
another?
forgot one thing.
Sure.
Pete Day again. The garbage, the bear-proof disposal containers, does that apply to a dumpster on site? It sounded like they were gonna rent some dumpster space from the neighboring people. And would that be required to be bear-proof since it would be off-site, or is it just a dumpster that was on site that would have to meet this requirement?
So their dumpster, I think that's on site right now is probably in response to their requirements for their building permit. And I don't, were you going to
We have a
suggest it's fair?
community dumpster that everybody on Kierton Lane uses. And me and JR control it, it's next to his shop, it's the best place for it. In all of the years I've been in Balltown, we had a bear show up once, and that didn't happen until the game warden moved in next door, and since he's left, it never happened again. So we do need to be conscious of animals, and I understand that completely. Coyotes right now is probably our biggest problem, but JR and I keep the dumpster up next to our shop, and we keep control on keeping animals out of it. If we need to do something preventative, we chain it, he's 100% on that. The whole Curtin Lane uses that dumpster.
And we'll likely do something our own
If
once
it
we
gets
have
to
our own
be
trash,
more,
but that's
more
what we do
than
now.
we
Yeah.
can use.
Yeah, just
When
personal trash.
Misty, we would put a dumpster on something,
Or,
if we ever
and
did
it
it.
would follow whatever restrictions.
And then our conditions, proposed conditions would be that anything they put on site would be beer. Okay, now, planning commissioners, county commissioners, anybody have any comments or questions before we opt to close public hearing?
Just to clarify the floor question, 8 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms, so 8 en suites,
Yes,
commercial kitchen.
yes.
I'd like to just comment on the number of people. I think I appreciate that comment by the public, but I do think that there's a way to not necessarily limit that number, but associate the use with the current site plan submitted. And if there was additional structures that would increase, I mean, they're gonna be limited anyway by whatever they propose in the application to the Division of Water Resources for that commercial use, I would think. So just again, offering that, you know, we definitely have had applications that have had real challenges and no access either for vehicles or to water. So we have had applications where we have restricted the number of folks with serious emergency response and other environmental concerns, but I wonder if that, I mean, it doesn't, if the applicant wants to address that or not. It doesn't sound like it, so.
The CUP and the site plan would be connected though, so.
Right.
If new things were put in, they'd have to come in for amendment
And it
anyway.
could be revisited at that point,
Um,
absolutely.
I wouldn't be opposed to doing something that's like, their proposed 22 people could be increased by, something smallish that's not gonna have major impacts on like what we see as the site plan review right now as far as parking and building and impacts on neighbors and things like that. Because I do think if you're having a camp for 100 people, it is quite different as far as your impacts to 22 people, although I totally know what you're saying. So if our amendment process isn't gonna be too burdensome, hopefully they'll know well ahead of time that, oh my gosh, we need to raise this to 50 people, we need to double our situation. They're gonna know that in advance to be able to do the amendment, to show us the site plan and the CUP. But I would say that this site plan wouldn't, at least in my opinion, warrant 100 people occupancy.
No, I
So
don't,
everything
I
has to
don't
be
assume so
amended.
either, yeah. But I mean, if there's 8 bedrooms, I don't know if there's like 1 bed proposed, and maybe it ends up that like,
Yeah.
we can put 2 bunk beds in a room, I don't know. And again,
Yeah.
I am now starting to speak on behalf of the applicant, which is like probably not necessary,
Well,
but I just wanna offer that.
I can
as-
say that is not our intention. And it doesn't really, I mean, how do you have 100 people to run? I mean, that's not even
Yeah.
possible. I mean,
Yeah.
she will keep it to small groups because that's what she
And just
did.
impact, I mean, that's a value of ours, we're not trying to cram a lot of people in there, that's not what we wanna do.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and I
Yeah.
definitely, but that's not, we're not trying to, it's not about a big money-making business. We wanna be mindful of our neighbors, and we're fine with the number.
Okay, and is that, so I do want a clarity though, like 22 people, 22 guests or 22
Total.
people overall?
Total.
That includes staff.
Yeah, it was in
And
there.
that's max, I don't know,
Okay,
it'll always be that many.
okay.
And they did, it's in their application that they clarified how, that it was all inclusive, so.
I just wanted to.
And, I mean, I think that hopefully the amendment process isn't too crazy, that if, you have this great successful thing and you have some ways that you're like, hey, we can have better staff if we do X, Y, and Z, then, I would think that a successful business won't have a problem getting us an amendment, so. Any other comments or thoughts?
Just to address that exact, I feel very strongly that it should be as proposed, so that makes good sense. It limits our water issues moving into the future, it limits impact on that rather busy intersection this time of year. I think that number makes good sense.
Commissioner Fiedler, any other thoughts? Okay.
Don't have any other questions on what's been discussed.
Howard or Abby, any comments or questions before we entertain a motion to close public hearing?
None.
No, thank you.
Okay. Well, with
Hey,
that,
Heather, Heather, it's Kayla. I don't have any questions or comments either.
thank you. Sorry, Kayla, we forgot that you joined in. Okay. Perfect. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing at this time.
Edwards moves to close the public portion of the hearing.
Howard seconds it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Great. We'll now take a moment and let our commissioners exit the room.
Hey, Heather or Ann, can you text me when you guys are ready to come back and I will hop back on?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Do you have a phone? I have my phone. Do you have Kayla's number?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oops, we need that. Just a quirky little rule that it has to be open. Does anybody have anything to discuss, or does somebody want to go ahead and make a motion? We will have two motions. There's going to be a motion on the conditional use permit and then a second motion on the site plan review.
Understood. Howard or Abby, any additions or changes? Additional conditions?
No.
All right, Edwards moves the planning commission recommend approval of file number 23-09 Sagestone Ranch CUP to the Board of County Commissioners as with the following conditions. Number one, as submitted, the maximum overnight occupancy shall not exceed 22 people. Number two, trash shall be kept in a bear-proof container and routinely removed from the property. Number three, all signage is required to obtain a sign permit prior to placement on the property. Number four, prior to operations, the property owner shall acquire an approved water supply through the Colorado Division of Water Resources and provide verification to CPD. Number five, the applicant shall apply for a change in occupancy with the building department to address the inclusion of commercial occupants. Number six, the applicant shall provide CPD compliance with all fire marshal requirements prior to the start of operations. The fire marshal may allow occupancy for a limited amount of time while requirements are being achieved. Number seven, all exterior lighting shall be dark sky compliant. Number eight, the property owner shall include information about fire danger and a QR code posted somewhere accessible for occupants to check fire ban status. The OEM website would be fine for this and for approved situational awareness by guests. Number nine, the property owner shall address the barn encroachment with CPD. Number 10, any new driveway access shall be approved and permitted through Public Works. And number 11, all statements and representations made by the applicant through the application and hearing should be binding and considered as conditions of approval. And further finding, the approval criteria pursuant to Lake County Land Development Code, section 3.6.1.f, have been met as evidenced in the staff report dated July 24th, 2023, for file number 23-09.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll do roll call. Joey Edwards.
Aye.
Howard Tritz.
Aye.
Abby Dahlman.
Aye.
And Heather Lind, aye. We now have a motion for the site plan review. I think you're stuck with it, Joey.
So I'll do that again. Edwards moves the planning commission approve file number 23-38 Sagestone Ranch site plan review with the following conditions. If submitted, the maximum overnight occupancy shall not exceed 22 people. Number 2, trash shall be kept in a bear-proof container and routinely removed from the property. Number 3, all signage is required to obtain a sign permit prior to placement on the property. Number 4, prior to operations, the property owner shall acquire an approved water supply through the Colorado Division of Water Resources and provide verification of such to CPD. Number 5, the applicant shall apply for a change in occupancy with the building department to address the inclusion of commercial occupants. Number 6, the applicant shall provide CPD compliance with all fire marshal requirements prior to the start of operations. The fire marshal may allow occupancy for a limited amount of time while requirements are being achieved. Number 7, all exterior lighting should be dark sky compliant. Number 8, any new driveway access shall be approved and permitted through Public Works. Number 9, all statements and representations made by the applicant through the application and hearing shall be binding and considered as conditions of approval. In further finding, the approval criteria pursuant to Lake County Land Development Code, Section 5.15.3E, have been met as evidenced in the staff report dated July 4th, 2023, for file number 23-38.
Just a little correction, staff report dated July 24th, 2023. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Do roll call. Joey Edwards.
Aye.
Howard Tritz. I think you're muted, Howard.
Aye.
Abby Dahlman.
Aye.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So now our recommendation for approval of both of these file numbers will be given to the commissioners for to be considered on their next one, right? Their next county commissioner meeting.
Won't be until the first Tuesday in August.
First Tuesday in August. I think it's awesome. I like this one a lot. Nice job, guys. Yeah, excited for it. Okay, Howard, we have a quorum if you need to go. Howard, for everybody, is at home nursing some broken ribs and agreed to come on tonight, so thanks, Howard.
Thank you, Howard.
You're welcome to stay and or go, whatever is comfortable for you.
Well, but I think I'll leave.
Yeah, have a good night and rest up.
Bye, Howard.
Okay, thanks.
We have file 23-12, which is the Colorado Gulch rezone application.
Yeah, so staff has an update on that. After sending out the staff report, the applicants have suggested tabling that file to a date certain of August 28th, the second August planning commission meeting, so.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay. We need a motion to continue file 23-12, Colorado Gulch rezone to. Oh, yeah, sorry, we gotta get them back in there.
Sorry, Kayla.
I mean, I didn't open
That's
anything,
right.
But
I'll
maybe
get
we
it
should
back.
just in case.
Yeah.
What was the date it was gonna be moved to?
August 28th.
Thank you.
Would be public notice.
No, it's already met some of its requirements. This is kind of public notice. We're not moving to a month from now.
Thanks, Misty.
Thanks, we'll see you guys.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
It looks like a really nice plan. Thanks very much, you guys.
I think y'all like it.
I'm assuming this is still here. It's not showing delivered, so.
It would have been nice to table that an hour ago. I'll just say that, because I waited for an hour for that to happen.
So sorry.
Nice of the top of the agenda, that's okay.
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, well, thanks for sitting through it, and yes, we will maybe do that next time. I apologize, thank you.
Thank you.
Oopsie.
Didn't know what file he was here.
I had a number for Kayla, but it's not showing delivered. She asked us to text her, and I just was wondering if you have a way to just give her a quick text. Sorry, Abby, we're just getting the commissioners back in the room real quick for this continuation.
Oh, and my apologies for being late.
No, you're good.
Got kiddo with me.
Future planning commission member, I'm sure.
I just want to 0794 or what?
Oh, yeah, I think I would do it probably.
Who are we?
Would you text her for us?
That would be amazingly efficient, right?
Yeah, it would be.
Not to complicate matters, so fine.
No, let me handwrite it. like-
It's okay, it's been a long day.
Is that okay?
Sure
Everyone
has.
Oh, yeah.
Feels good? Okay.
I think we only have a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose we could have just dealt with it in the, I
We,
don't know if you were here when he was here, but he just sat through that whole thing because he was here to comment on this one.
oh, yeah.
So, I'm not sure who he is, but he was here to comment on that one, so. He's like, I wish I knew this an hour ago. So,
You know, there's.
no, I know, but maybe we just do it with the changes or additions to the agenda.
Work under.
Like if it is one, we can move them to the top, continue them, and then only do the ones that we're actually gonna hear that night, because we could change the order.
End of business.
Yeah, we could have done that. That's true, we could have just gotten, I didn't.
No, I know, I assumed he was here for the other one, so.
Me too.
Next time, we'll just do it next time, we'll just, any
And
files we're
usually
gonna
we're really
continue,
good
we'll
about
move them to the top.
Saying that at the top of the meeting anyway, this time it just didn't happen, so.
Yeah, we'll just move them to the
We're
top
doing it on
next time.
purpose.
Oh, Jason was for this the next file?
It's
No,
just
Sam.
those.
Oh. Okay.
So, next time we'll just move any applications that are gonna continue to the top of the new business,
Just in case we.
so that we do them first.
Yeah, just to be clear.
I don't know if Kayla's joining, but it's not dire that she's here for this, so, if you guys just wanna repeat, they've asked to.
Yeah,
continue.
so, file 23-12, the staff report went out last week, and after reading it, the applicants have requested tabling to a date certain of August 28th. So second planning commission meeting in August.
Sorry, what's the name of that? 23-12?
-12, yeah. Colorado Purple Freeze Zone.
Thanks.
So you just need a motion to continue.
Yeah.
All right, Edwards moves that file number 23-12 be rescheduled to our August 28th planning commission meeting.
I'll second.
Great, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I think that's all we've got. I have a motion to adjourn.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Since you've carried the brunt of it today, Joey, I'll move we adjourn today's meeting.
Edwards seconds.